back then, branded content didn't exist. That was the AdSense money. That was the only way one could make money of YouTube videos. So one had to look at how much money you are making, and the Hindi channel was doing quite badly. But when I saw the growth rate, I saw that okay, we should probably not worry about how much money we are making with the Hindi channel, but we should focus on growing it. There were times when I would not go to the office for days, and it would just work as well and also grow. Right? It was just it wasn't dependent on me at all. You want to be a YouTuber, you want to be a successful LinkedIn creator, Instagram, or anything, the first step is to create content consistently. And you can only do that if you like that process, because the returns will come maybe, after a year or after 2 years or 3 years, who knows? They will come, but it could take a long time. And you can only survive if you enjoy that process and you do it on a consistent basis.
I want to touch upon like the next big thing, which I felt very interesting while looking at your journey, was that your shift from a text to a video. How did that happen? Why did you even think that you had to start a sort of a video journey with guiding tech?
I think we were actually a little late. I mean, I don't know if that term would make any sense in the context of today, considering, YouTube, it's just become this huge thing. And, people who have just started, like during COVID, they have become the face of the creator economy. But even back then, I think I don't know when we started. I don't exactly remember. It was probably, I don't know, 2015 or so when we started our YouTube channel. And I think 2016 onwards, we started doing it seriously. But we were late because I think 2013 onwards, these tech YouTube channels and other YouTube channels had started coming up. The YouTube was becoming slowly and steadily, it was becoming popular. Right. So I think Ashish, he was actually writing for, he was a sort of a full-time writer back then. He only nudged me that, we need to sort of try our hands at this YouTube thing. And I said, why not? But how do we go about it? Can you he was in Bangalore back then and I was in Delhi. So I said that, why don't you go ahead and, if you can make the videos, you make the videos. And, we'll create the channel and we'll put it up there and see how it goes. So he started creating videos and he started putting it online. And he would only make the videos that we had already written about. And like how to do this or best apps, whatever. So he would make that and he would just put, and those were like not very well produced videos. They were like, bare minimum production. And we were just trying it out and seeing that, what is the effort that it takes. And obviously there was no money in that back then. So then he did it for a few times. He made a few videos, and then we said that this isn't working out. Like it doesn't make sense. We already have sort of a consistent money making machine, which is our content on the site. So on the site, apart from the regular articles, we were also doing digital products like ebooks. We were selling ebooks. Tech ebooks, and we also had a newsletter. So there were also a bunch of small things that needed attention and needed manpower, and even the social media channels for that matter, the Facebook, Instagram. So I told Ashish that I don't know if this is working. What do you want? So he said that I think we both agreed that let's take a pause and just focus on the site. And we took a pause, and then Jio happened. Jio launched in India, right? And that's when I realized, when just I started watching the videos about Jio and everyone going gaga about it. And I was like, okay, this is something new. I sort of had a whiff of something cool, something new happening. I didn't have an idea that the kind of enormous change it would bring about in the content landscape. But I could sense that this is something new and we need to get on it and we need to sort of try our hands at video again. So what we discussed that we'll try and make different kind of videos. And we made a video wherein we would compare the speed test of, we would compare the speeds of Geo versus, other two, Vodafone, Airtel, and all that. Now, some of the videos were already done, like people had done this video, but we said that we will do it differently. What people were doing, they were basically putting three phones on a desk in their house, and they would just compare. They would tap on speedtest.net and they would compare the speeds, right? We said that we are not going to do this. We are going to do this at different locations. And we devised this idea. I came up with this idea that, Ashish, why don't you do this? You take your camera and you go around Bangalore, right? You visit a few places, you visit a few cafes, or visit a few places, and there you put those three phones. You place those three phones at random corners of the city, and there you test the speed. And it would be a fun video. You create sort of a vlog, right? He made that video, and that video became sort of viral. It hit 1 million views over a certain period, and initially, and then when that worked, we were like, okay, this is cool, and let's try making different kind of videos. And then
This was
that's how
still in English back then. You were
this
still
was in
doing.
English. This was in English. This was all
Mhm.
in English, right? The Hindi channels or regional channels, those were quite few back then. I don't think many people had the idea of doing that back then. So English was probably, I think most people were making videos in English. Hindi was also picking up. I mean, just when Jio launched, I saw the Hindi content picking up quite well. And then, eventually we figured out with him in Bangalore, it's not working out. I got him in Noida, and then, hired other people, hired video editors, built a video team. And, we started the journey here as, from remote to office.
Mhm.
That's how, the shift happened, because we had to make videos. Making videos remotely, it was a challenge. The upload speeds and the download, these weren't back then. I mean, today even video can happen remotely because of such great upload and download speeds and such great online editing tools. So back then, making videos remotely was quite a challenge. So for that, we switched to the offline model of working from an office, and built a video team, and started experimenting. And that's how the journey began.
Right, right. I really like the idea of how you converted the a very probably very monotonous sort of a tech review into an interesting blogging sort of an experiment, right? And you have continued doing that in other videos too, like how regularly when I think about a tech reviewer, I'm imagining like an NKBHD sort of setup, right? You have a studio, you have certain type of lighting, and you have certain angles of how you want to shoot. But you decided to take the idea of reviewing tech outside in the world, like you had the idea of shooting or testing the mobile phone cameras in different locations in India, right?
Right.
Uh, can you
And
tell about the interesting ideas that you tried out with respect to video tech?
we tried a lot of them, because as I mentioned, you know I lean more towards the artistic side of things. I am more influenced by the arts and the cinema and all that. So my inclination is always to make something, to make it look interesting and visually attractive. So early on, we tried a lot of things. We tried a phone comparison wherein we would shot an entire day out, like two people just talking about phones, comparing photos, and then going out and doing these things like conversations and trying out things. But we would shoot their experience, right? We also sort of tried a BuzzFeed style video. BuzzFeed,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
made a lot of those funny videos where it was a listicle, but a lot of funny video clips, different situations. So we made that kind of a video as well. It took a lot of time, because, and we didn't have many resources back then, but it came out quite well, I would say. And so we tried our hand at a lot of things. Eventually, when Google launched Pixel, they gave it us for review. So I took the Pixel phone and went to Varanasi to shoot it. I did a review as well as a cinematic sort of a review in Varanasi. So we would also, whenever we could afford it, we would travel. We also sort of rented a flat in Noida, and the area around it was sort of quiet and serene. So we would shoot a lot of videos outside. outside the flat, which served as our studios. And so we tried a bunch of these things. We tried a bunch of these things to understand what is working, what doesn't work. Because my main thing was, when you're creating content, how you can add interesting elements to it, how you can make it more sort of fun, sort of visually pleasing, right? So, because on Guiding Tech, we were already on the site, we were already doing utilitarian stuff, right? We were writing the articles and all. And you can only do so much in an article in text to sort of make it very different, right? Because people are coming for information there. So you got to give the information immediately and, not tiptoe around it. But with video, you have a lot more opportunity to try out interesting things. And that's what we tried. That's what we did. And eventually we sort of, decided to start a Hindi channel. And that's when, things changed a lot.
Right. When you moved into this style, did you start feeling that you're not doing utilitarian content anymore, and it's much more experiential, and there is much more loyal following for this style of sort of videos?
Well, I would say there was a loyal following, but that following wasn't big. Like,
Hmm.
we realized that, even with tech content, you people do like, the MKBHD you mentioned. So MKBHD these days, he is doing uh, content with, good production when it comes to lighting and, when it comes to other things. But in at the heart of it, he always gets to the point quickly, right? He always talks about the main thing, and if it's a review, the entire content would be about review, and the uniqueness would be like his own opinion, his unique perspective. That would be the unique thing about the content. So, like, we were trying a lot of things, but for us they were bringing views, but they were not bringing the kind of views that we would want, right?
Hmm.
And obviously this kind of content, it takes a lot of effort, right, to make this kind of content. So we eventually decided that we will sort of stick to creating tech content which immediately gets to the point, and we will focus on the anchoring, on the lighting, and all these things, and maybe, make more videos indoor rather than always venturing outdoors. So because again, you need to have a production budget if you want to. I'm sure if you would have done those videos for the long haul, uh, we would have probably, made a name for ourselves in a different way, like, that kind of
Hmm.
content. I think some of the big tech channels, very few, I would say, have made a name for themselves in creating tech content, but in a very, very different way, right?
Right.
But then that, making videos is it's a costly affair, right?
Yeah.
And it's time consuming, and to make those kind of videos on a consistent basis, that would have required us to see returns on a fairly regular basis, and, quicker than what I would have sort of had patience for when I was building the site. So with
Right.
this, I soon, I had to pay for the video editors, and, pay for the huge cameras, equipments, and all that. Eventually, I realized I also need to build a video production studio, because that's how we can consistently make new videos. And that's what we did. We built a fully fledged soundproof video production studio in Noida, you know. But yes, loyalty was there. Some people would just come to us and always comment on, that you are making something that's very different. I have not seen anyone in India doing it in the tech content domain. But we realize we need to grow faster, and, so that's how we sort of made the switch.
Right, right. So somewhere down the line, you also started GT Hindi channel, right? And today I can see that GT Hindi has almost like 1 million subscribers, whereas the first
It's, I
channel
think,
is
almost 2 million now.
it's almost 2 million, right? I think the GT English channel is around 300 or 400K.
I think, yeah,
Uh,
400K probably, yeah.
yeah, yeah. How did you decide to start a Hindi channel, and how did it feel when you touched 1 million followers?
Well, actually, we tried Hindi content. We decided to try Hindi content, and we tried it on the Guiding Tech main channel. We said
Hmm.
that we'll make some videos in Hindi, we'll make some videos in English, you know, and then we will make some videos in English. So this we tried that, and soon I realized that I think this is probably not the right way to do it, not the right way to go about it, because the Hindi audience. is sort of different. They view the videos in a different manner, and then even for the anchor, it was becoming difficult. Some videos I would anchor myself, some videos Ashish would anchor. So we needed a consistent thing, and the audience was also different. We believed we just by going through the comments and understanding, going through the analytics and everything, we sort of realized that probably we are mixing up two things which shouldn't be mixed up.
Hmm.
And that's when we decided that let's start a separate Hindi channel, and let's continue with the English content, and let's not mix up the languages, right? Because on the English channel, a lot of US audience would also come and watch the videos. So
Hmm.
that was again, and the CPMs were higher on the English channel. The English channel, even with a smaller number of views and a smaller number of subscribers, it still made a lot of money. Much, even when the Hindi channel reached the same level, the English channel would make much more money than the Hindi channel. And we thought that let's not mix these up, and uh, let's not confuse the YouTube algorithm, right?
Hmm.
The YouTube algorithm should know that, okay, this is the English channel, only English language videos are produced here, and this is the Hindi channel, because there was a risk of the algorithm not understanding what the channel stands for and what kind of audience it should pitch the channel to.
Hmm.
So those were the reasons why we decided to start GT Hindi.
Nice, nice. How did it feel when it reached 1 million subscribers? Did you ever think that it's going to surpass the English channel and reach 1 million subscribers?
We didn't initially. Initially, we
Hmm.
just started, and we wanted to see where it goes, and our focus was still on the English channel. Our main resources were still sort of diverted to the English channel. And I mean, just when it started growing, and the growth rate started surpassing the English channel, that's when we saw that, okay, there is something happening here, and we need to take notice. And the CPMs were low. The CPM rates, the money we were making, it was quite low. So just from a money making angle, because see, the branded content, brand sponsoring content, this thing is still pretty new. Today the YouTubers, most of their money comes from branded content, right? The YouTube revenue is still quite low,
Hmm.
especially for regional and Hindi language content and regional content. But back then, branded content didn't exist. That was the AdSense money. That was the only way one could make money of YouTube videos. So one had to look at how much money you are making, and the Hindi channel was doing quite badly. But when I saw the growth rate, I saw that, okay, you know we should probably not worry about how much money we are making with the Hindi channel, but we should focus on growing it. And eventually, when we have a big audience, who knows, we might be able to make money in some other way,
Hmm.
right? So that's how we decided to focus on the Hindi channel, and we started producing more videos there. We started experimenting with stuff, all kinds of videos, news roundup, tips and tricks, all kinds of reviews and everything. And it started growing very well. And when it reached half a million, 100,000, the first 10,000, first 100,000, those are the moments, when you're really happy, and then everything else is an increment, sort of cherry on top. But of course, when we hit million subscribers, we got the silver play button and the gold button and all. So those were exciting times.
Right, right. Now, at this point in time, so you also you kind of like shifted focus from text to videos, and you already built a team, and now GT Hindi is sort of doing really well. At what point in time did the acquisition come through, right? Or probably from the narratives that you say, it feels like everything was going well. Like, why sell it off?
Well, everything was going well, I must say, and the business had started running on its own, because
Mhm.
I had groomed a set of team members to do things which initially required my guidance, right? Even I had groomed team members to start. They started closing deals on their own, which
Mhm.
initially involved me going to a brand, talking to them, and talking to the agencies, the big agencies. When branded deals started coming in. Uh, I was the main point of contact. People would only talk to me when they wanted to close a deal. But eventually, I started grooming my team members, and when I groomed them enough, they started sort of approaching and closing deals themselves. And that was the point when I realized that the business can function without me. I mean, there were times when I would not go to the office for days, and it would just
Mm,
work as well and also grow, right?
mm,
It was just, it wasn't dependent on me at all. I had a bunch of self-motivated people, and I would just sometimes go to the office to guide them, just check things as to everything is fine or not. Most of the business would happen over the phone, on WhatsApp, and I would sometimes visit office just for an hour or two, and then head off, go to some cafe, do my own thing, meet up with people. Now, and eventually when I spoke to some of my experienced friends who have ran bigger companies, or who have done multiple exits, they told me that this is how the CEO, I mean, the CEO should just make few important decisions a day, and that's it. So
mm.
which of course, so the business had reached that point in my case. And that's when I didn't sort of that's when an offer came, and initially I said that no, I don't think I want to sell, or this probably it's not working out. And then COVID happened. And when COVID happened, and then when I was the lockdown and everything happened, and that's when I thought that maybe it's not there is no harm in exploring. There's no harm in exploring. And that's when we sort of got back to the negotiation table, and we sort of and our buyer, Padre Media, they were always very interested in acquiring, because they saw value in the asset, they saw value in the team. And what really sort of prompted me to sell was that they wanted the team as well. In a lot of such acquisitions, what happens is that a bigger media company absorbs a smaller company, and they would just fire the team, and they would just integrate the properties in their company and with their properties. A lot of such I had seen a lot of such acquisitions outside India, wherein a big tech property, a big tech site and YouTube channels, it was acquired, and then over a period of a few months, most of the team members were let go, and the site completely changed. Like everything about the site, everything about what the site stood for, what the brand stood for, it changed. So this was my main worry, because it was a decade of my my life's work, and I always wanted that whoever acquired it, they treat it with the same love and respect. So that's how this when I I saw that I could trust the buyer, and I saw that they wanted the same things with the business. That's when I am decided to go ahead with it, because I saw that this is the best time, and for me to walk out, and for the business to go to the next level.
Right. This reminds me of a recent masterclass I've been watching. So this was by Bob Iger, who was the Disney's
Business,
ex-CEO,
XEO.
and he talked about that this entire acquisition process of Pixar, right? One when Bob Iger goes and pitches that he wants to like Disney wants to acquire Pixar because they were doing like really cutting edge sort of 3D animation films. I think one of the main concerns of the team was that, hey, our ideology would be diluted if we get into Disney. And the condition that Steve Jobs probably put on the table was this, that he said that, you let Pixar run as an independent sort of a company, and that they promised that the team would be retained. And like your conversation just reminded me of that, so where I that's true, right? Like the core ideology is what makes people create the kind of content that is being created in any media companies, right? When you remove the people, sort of like, it's very difficult to replace people and expect the same sort of content happen
Yes, because I
in
mean, quality was always our main focus whenever we created content. Like, for example, if one were to compare an article of Guiding Tech with any other tech blogs article, especially one which, if you just set aside the huge names, Lifehacker, Wired, and all, you just set those aside. But any mid-level site, if you were to compare Guiding Tech's article with them, you would see a lot of difference. Our articles would be very well edited,
Mm,
typos almost non-existent, linking out and everything, images and all. So we had a lot of things in place to make sure that the content we produce, it came out almost impeccable. and we did a lot of training, a lot of documentation over the years. I built a lot of these systems and processes in place so that we could always focus on quality, and it actually paid out in the long run because uh, I don't know if there was these Google Panda updates, these
Mm.
huge SEO updates, which would just,
Right.
one fine day it would come, and the site's traffic would
I
be
remember.
halved,
Yeah.
right? And there were a lot of such updates over a period of few years. Publishers would sort of shiver when that word Google Panda update came up in discussions. And I myself saw, you know, traffic of a lot of my friends' sites vanish, overnight due to a lot of these updates. Because I can't take names, but there were friends who would have built sites, who had built sites bigger than ours in terms of just the traffic numbers, and their traffic was wiped out in multiple Panda updates. For us, we were not affected, I would say, by any of the updates. Over a period of, like, I think 6 7 years, there were 22 odd Google Panda and Penguin updates, and we were not affected. I think by one update we were affected by a bit, but not much. I think mainly because we always focused on quality of the content. We didn't do anything shady. We never built links in a shady way. Because I was always clear that if Google is your main source of traffic, so you just got to be on the good books of Google. You do anything, the main source of traffic is gone, right? If you think you are smarter than Google, you're wrong, right? A lot of publishers think that, but eventually they find that they're not, right? So we just focused, and Google always said that just focus on the quality, what the user wants. If the user is coming to your site and he has a problem, just solve that problem, and that's what we did. And we made sure that we did it in a way that nobody can point a finger at us.
Right.
That's what we did in our videos. Now here's the amazing thing: we did a lot of brand collaborations, but we always disclosed our partnership.
Mm.
And back then, this was not the norm. YouTubers and influencers, they would not disclose brand collaborations, partnerships. I always found it to be unethical, and I always put my foot on the ground that I would not do that. As a result, we left a lot of money on the table, off the table. I mean, a lot of that, because a lot of big brands won't work with us because we just, we would disclose and they wouldn't want that. But we just stuck to our guns, and when the acquisition happened, right, these are the things that a prospective buyer would sort of take a look at, and that helps
Mm.
in building that trust. That okay, this ship has been ran in a transparent, in an ethical way. Well, see, when you are buying a company, right, no matter how much on the outside, whatever you see, there are always deeper things, nuances, which you would only know when you acquire the business. So when a buyer is, especially when you are buying a content company, you want to do your due diligence and also want to look at these, finer points to see, if there are any sort of warning signs, if there are any sort of red marks which are not quickly visible. So we had always ran, I'm proud to say that we always ran a highly transparent and ethical ship, and eventually it paid off for us. And today, after the, I think, latest guidelines issued by, I think, the Advertising Federation of India, I mean, the disclosure of paid partnerships, it is happening across 80% of the content, which was back then it was just 10 20%.
Mm.
Today, I am seeing a lot of Instagram, paid partnership with this and this on Instagram.
They
And
also
YouTube
introduced a feature where you can explicitly sort of say this as a paid partnership.
explicitly sort of say, and back then, YouTubers wouldn't do it. Today, paid content on YouTube, a lot of YouTube videos, you would see that, paid content inside label. YouTubers wouldn't do that back then, but it's good to see that what we stood for, now it is becoming mainstream, and that's how it
Yeah.
should be.
Yeah, it's also fascinating because we talked to a lot of this new age influencers who have been growing on Instagram Reels and YouTube, and they have a similar challenge where they have the fear of, I'm not sure when the algorithm will let go of my growth, right? Or when algorithm will cut my growth. And we've been thinking that's a new phenomenon. From this conversation, I realized that this has always been the case, right? In anywhere where you create content based on one, the which is relying heavily on one platform, you'll have to be in the good books. And you're exactly right when you say that, do good content, be ethical, and give people what they want. And a combination of these three will matter the most, irrespective of how much the algorithm changes. These three things will always sort of like hold true.
That is absolutely true. And see, at the end of the day, if you have your own set of loyal audience
Hmm.
through maybe an email newsletter or through some other medium, let's say a WhatsApp group or any other medium for that matter, it is great. And building that is always easier said than done, especially in today's age of low attention spans and a plethora of content everywhere. Building that loyal set of audience who would just pay to watch you or listen to you or read you, that is easier said than done. If you're able to do that, great, nothing like it. But other than that, the platforms are there, they have the audience, they have sort of aggregated the audience, Google, Facebook, Instagram. uh, there is nothing wrong in piggybacking on them because that's where people are. LinkedIn is again a huge platform these days, so that's where people are, that's where they're hanging out. And they own the town halls, right? They own the town
Hmm.
halls, and you are the speaker. You're going there and speaking, and from that huge crowd you have to impress a few people who would come and pay to you, right?
Yeah.
And it is not easy. The as the crowd, the town hall grows, I mean, the no matter how many people go there, they would still pay the ticket, right? They would still pay the entry ticket, which is what they're
Yeah.
paying to Google or Instagram or Facebook. But
Yeah. Yeah.
but the performers there in that town hall, they have a difficult job, no doubt. But if they're doing good, if they're creating interesting stuff or useful stuff, right? It has to be either interesting or useful or both. So if they are doing that, they should be able to garner a set of audience, right? And that's what the philosophy is.
Right. Right. Awesome. We've come almost to the end of this show. Before I let you go, can you tell us like top three things that a creator in today's age should keep in their mind for their growth?
Well, I think the first thing is, now here's the thing. I myself am trying to, create content on a consistent basis, and I'm myself finding it extremely difficult, right? And because I have always been sort of, as a publisher, I was always building the business, strategizing, and not creating content myself. I had a team doing that for me. So, for a new creator, number one, you have to enjoy the process. And if you are not enjoying it, maybe switch the format, switch the medium. Like, let's say you're writing, you enjoy writing, great, stick to it and see what are the platforms you can use for your writing. Maybe you don't enjoy writing, maybe you enjoy audio. Podcasting is one medium, video is another. Video, there are, like, there are short form videos, long form videos. So first you have to figure out that whether you actually enjoy making content, because it's not for everyone. Just because there are hundreds of YouTubers making lakhs and crores of rupees, that doesn't mean that everyone can do it. It's not for everyone, right? So if you want to become a creator, you started on the side, just see if you're able to do it consistently once a week, let's say once a week or once in 2 weeks, and do it consistently for 3-4 months and see if it works for you. If you are finding enjoyment in that process, then great. Then the next thing is to sort of create more of that content. Identify a platform where you want to create that content. It can be any of the big social media platforms. Just identify one platform and start creating content there. And see, again, I mean, consistency easier said than done, but there is no, I mean, that's the basic, right? You want to be a YouTuber, you want to be a successful LinkedIn creator, Instagrammer, anything. The first step is to create content consistently, and you can only do that if you like that process, because the returns will come maybe after a year or after 2 years or 3 years. Who knows? They will come. but it could take a long time. And you can only survive if you enjoy that process and you do it on a consistent basis. So consistency, and then of course, content. Content is the queen, but marketing is the queen, and queen. Sorry, content is the king, but marketing is the queen, and queen runs the household. So that is sort of, I think Gary Vee said this, but in a way it is true. Like in today's day and age, just putting out your content might not work for you, no matter how good it is, because there is just too much of it out there, and the attention spans are quite low. So you'll have to figure out ways to reach more people. You'll have to connect with other content creators, figure out a way to collaborate. If you have the money, if you can afford it, use paid ad mediums like AdWords. See, this is what Ankur Warikoo did, right? He was a long time content creator. He used to create content, 4 or 5 years ago on LinkedIn and all the other mediums. And he started his YouTube channel, and he said that, okay, I'll just do it this consistently. But eventually, he had to make money, so he had to sell a course, and he just used paid marketing to do it, right? Basically the arbitrage which I spoke about earlier, using AdWords to send traffic and then selling something for more than what you are spending, and just
Right.
doing it over and over again. So so it's not that always you have to rely on free marketing. You can also do paid marketing, right? And it doesn't require a lot of money, but it does require some deft skills, and you need to learn that, and then try your hands at it by investing a small amount, and then if you have the money, hire an agency or something, and then try your hand, just do that. But you have to sort of, if you want to become a full-time creator, if you're doing it on the side as a hobby and happy with whatever income it makes eventually, then just keep creating content consistently, engage with the content of other creators, comment on them, talk to them, the creators you admire, also the smaller creators like yourself, engage with their audience and also with them. But do this for a long period and you are there. But if you want to grow fast, if you want to sort of make this a full-time career, then obviously you will have to do things differently. You will have to sort of figure out how to grow, and how to grow fast. So, you will have to analyze your stats, you will have to create videos, you have to keep iterating, and you have to spend more and more time on it.
Yeah.
So not just the content creation part, but also the content dissemination and the content reach part. So
Right.
these are the things, like, it's the as we were talking about, these basics, these have always been true.
True.
These, the consistency, the longevity of the content, and patience. At the end of the day, these are the main pillars.
Yeah.
But of course, you have to not just stick with these things, but also try and learn from others and see, what I can do differently. While you are consistent, just don't do the same thing over and over again. If it's not working, you have to change something, right? So showing up every day is the basic, but once you show up every day, you also learn new things and try and implement that.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Great. Thanks a lot for taking time and sharing your journey, and also like this timeless advice for the new and young creators. I hope people who are watching the show are able to take some interesting ideas from here and are able to implement it. Again, once again, thank you. Thanks a lot, Abhishek.
Thanks a lot, Dhamesh, and thanks a lot, Rajesh. I wish you all the best. You guys are doing this, Thousand Faces Club. It's a tremendous idea, and
Thank
I think
you.
there is a lack of such community for creators in India. You are filling that gap, and I must congratulate you on that. I wish you guys all the best.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.